station, serving all of South Jersey. This is Game Night with Josh Hinnick on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios, here's Josh Hinnick.
Thursday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, where we will not be doing a breakdown for the next hour of the NHL All-Star Game draft. I'm interested, but I will not be breaking it down here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Hope everyone is having a great day out there. You and me for the next hour, 609-403-0973. That is the text board. Also, your DMs into 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. NFC East is changing. We'll get into some of the notes about that, along with if we get any news about Joel Embiid's knee. As of right now, we don't have any news, but we do have what Kendrick Perkins says should happen. We'll get into those thoughts this hour as well. Text board is open. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Yeah, but we got to start with the NFL first because the NFC East is changing. Dan Quinn is leaving the Dallas Cowboys to fill the final head coach opening on the market. He will be the new Washington Commanders head coach. And there's a lot of stuff to get into for what this means for the NFC East in Philadelphia. But initially, what this means is you have a situation where now Dan Quinn is going to hurt the Dallas Cowboys. One, there are reports from NFL Network that he is going to bring secondary coach Joe Witt to be his defensive coordinator. So now there are two coaches who are guaranteed to leave Dallas. So in theory, Dallas's defense is going to be diminished. There's also speculation that Brian Schottenheimer may leave Dallas as well to go be the OC in Washington, because at least in Washington he can call plays. Meanwhile, down in Dallas, he's more of a game plan organizer. For those who don't know, when you are an offensive coordinator in the NFL and you do not call plays, you are similar to somebody who creates a PowerPoint presentation but doesn't deliver the presentation at the meeting. You're at your job, you spend all week putting together the PowerPoint presentation, putting all the elements in there, typing up the script, putting all the pictures in there. And then your boss comes in and they say, well, I want you to tweak this, I want you to tweak that. And then the day of the presentation, you don't do the presentation, your boss does it. That's basically what offensive coordinator is in the NFL when you are not calling plays. All right? It's like on Suits where, Mike constantly did all the work for Harvey, and then he'd show up with all this information for Harvey, and then Harvey gets the credit for the win, but Mike did all the work because he's just the lowly associate. That's what basically you're dealing with in the NFL. So if you are Brian Schottenheimer, of course you want to leave Dallas if you have a chance to call plays in Washington. So there's a chance that Dallas's coaching staff gets raided, and all because Dan Quinn is going to go to Washington. And I think it's very interesting that Quinn landed in Washington for two reasons. One, it definitely feels like he was not their first choice. There was a lot of speculation that Ben Johnson, that the Washington job was his if he wanted it. And then he said he didn't want it, which is wild in and of itself. So now you have the defensive coordinator from Dallas leaving. So now you are hurting the Eagles' primary competition in the division. And unless Washington is going to do a massive overhaul of their roster in one offseason, I doubt the Commanders are going to be an NFC East contender next year. I'm going to say they're a year away. I think Washington, if they get their draft picks right and they retool the roster properly, they're probably going to be more of a threat in 2025 than 2024. They got a lot of pieces to fix. They got a lot of issues to work through in terms of roster construction, who's going to be the quarterback, retooling the defense in Dan Quinn's image. It's not going to happen overnight. So now the Cowboys on February 1st have to find the defensive coordinator. Well, you know who else is looking for a defensive coordinator? The New York Giants. The New York Giants lost their guy because Denard Wilson is not staying in Baltimore. He's not going to the Giants. He's going to Tennessee. So now you got two teams in the NFC East who are going to be looking for DC still as of February 1st. Cowboys, Giants. And there's the Eagles sitting there with both their coaches, content. Hey, we got our guys. We're not worried. And in a league where you could argue that the coordinator position is probably more important than the average person gives it credit for, these are decisions that will make or break coaching staffs. For example, I genuinely believe that if Brian Daboll doesn't get this coordinator situation right, he could be on the road to potentially being on the hot seat. Look, I'm not saying you should get rid of the guy. They had a lot of injuries last year. But Wink Martindale did a lot for that team defensively. And I look at a team like the Giants, knowing their history, knowing the expectations of the franchise, and I thought, you know what? If Brian Daboll falls apart, maybe Belichick goes there. That's why you got to get the coaching right. You get the wrong coordinator in there, things will go sideways. Happens to every coach. Belichick doesn't get the right coaches. He's out of New England. Nick Sirianni doesn't get the coaches right. We all wonder if he's going to lose his job. Dan Quinn himself, when Kyle Shanahan left, they went from first in the NFL in scoring to 15th the next year with Steve Sarkisian, and it kept getting worse with Dirk Cutter. So I'm telling you guys, you got to get these coordinator jobs right. And I'm looking at you, Brian Daboll, and I'm looking at you, Mike McCarthy, and I'm wondering, who are you going to pull out of the rabbit's hat? What rabbit are you going to pull out of the hat? How are you going to make magic and show everybody what you can do? Because as of right here, right now, the Cowboys and the Giants are already at a severe disadvantage to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have an experienced, known commodity as their defensive coordinator. And you look at these other teams, and they got nobody right now. And, like I said, for Washington fans, I'm happy for you. You obviously needed an upgrade down there because you had to change everything. Josh Harris bought the team, and he knew, I got to make changes around here. I can't just keep moving on like I have been with the people I have been. I got to get somebody else. I got to get something else, right? Then there's the other side of the conversation. Why would you hire a defensive-minded coach after already having a defensive-minded coach. Usually an organization tries to hire somebody that is different. Well, on the surface, what is the difference between Ron Rivera and Dan Quinn? Rivera, former head coach who led a team to the Super Bowl. Oh, wait. Dan Quinn is a former head coach who led a team to the Super Bowl. Both guys are former defensive coordinators. Both men are veteran coaches who have been coaching in the league for decades. Both men are viewed as good leaders. And both men saw the downfall of their teams, and it basically made you wonder, will these guys get jobs again? And then they have. ESPN NFL reporter Kimberly Martin explains why Dan Quinn was hired, even though Rivera, a similar coach, was already in Washington.
Ron Rivera was a player's coach. Guys loved him. But the difference here with Quinn and the way this structure is set up now is they have a true GM in Adam Peters. When you talk about the personnel hire, this is a huge draft for a first-time GM. Granted, he came from San Francisco. They know what they're doing. But they have to nail this pick. But at least Dan Quinn, he will have input on the draft and all that. But it's not going to be the same amount of power that Ron Rivera had from a personnel standpoint. I think that's what a lot of people criticize Ron for.
It's a very fascinating point by Kimberly Martin. Ron Rivera was basically the face of the organization. Ron Rivera, because of the fiasco that happened with Daniel Snyder and the ownership, because of everything that happened with the name change, with the COVID fiasco in Washington, all the things that happened, he became the front man who took all the bullets for the organization. He was a little like Brett Brown. Brett Brown for years took all the bullets for the Sixers organization, and then one day he's no longer the head coach. He served his service. He was absorbed enough punishment. Now go on your way, Brett Brown. Same with Ron Rivera. Ron Rivera was brought in there to be the adult in the room and had to become the principal of the high school. And he had to tell the superintendent to go home and stop making inappropriate comments to the teachers in the high school. That's pretty much what happened. And when they needed to rename the high school because people deemed that the name of the high school was racist, Ron Rivera, the principal, had to help with that process too. Because the superintendent was told to stay away because he was sexually harassing everybody. That's basically what happened in Washington. Daniel Snyder was a scumbag who was stealing money, sexually harassing people, treating people like trash in the workplace. And Ron Rivera had to come in and basically tell everybody, this is not how we're supposed to run a football organization. And as a thank you for his years of service of taking the punishment and having to be the end-all, be-all of the Washington organization, he was shown the door. Now, with a new owner who is not a sexual harassing thief, Josh Harris came in and said, I want a fresh start. I'm going to get a new GM. I'm going to get a new head coach. So he goes and gets the GM from the San Francisco 49ers organization because he said, well, the 49ers did a very good job at roster building and drafting. Then he goes out and gets Dan Quinn because he says, I'm going to let my GM be the GM. I'm going to let my coach coach. And I'm going to hire people to do jobs. Because in today's NFL, they don't want their coaches doing everything. Peter King here on 97.3 ESPN was a guest on the Carlin versus Joe show here in the 12 o'clock hour on 97.3 ESPN, said this.
I don't think it's so much that owners or GMs want guys who they can put in the palm of their hand and tell them what to do. I don't think it's that. I think it is, hey, listen, we want you to coach the team, but we do believe in separation of church and state. We believe that it's too much of a job for one person to be in charge of everything.
That's the key. They don't want one person in charge of everything. And for an organization like Washington, they look at the teams that have had success in recent years. Josh Harris may not be some elite sports owner, but he doesn't have to be a rocket scientist to realize, well, I look at San Francisco, they let the coach just coach there. I look at Philadelphia Eagles, team to the postseason for 3 straight seasons, 6 of the last 7 years. What do? All the coach does is coach in Philadelphia. Detroit, all Dan Campbell does is coach. He doesn't involve himself in the front office. Every successful team, all they do is say the coach's job is to coach and the executive's job is to be the executive. And there's a collaborative relationship between the front office and the coaching staff. And it's not a literal, you guys can't talk to each other because, you got to be on other ends of the room. But it's the idea that you hire the GM to build the roster and you hire the head coach to run the football operation on the football field. And the GM, runs the operation in the front office. So that's the plan here. That's the model moving forward. That's why Mike McDonald is the head coach now in Seattle, because they wanted to hire a coach who wouldn't walk into the GM's office and tell him what to do. The reason why Dan Quinn is in Washington is because Dan Quinn doesn't need to be all hands on deck in control of everything. And that's why Washington did not want Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick wants his hands in building the roster. And that's also the reason why Nick Sirianni is the Eagles head coach. Because Nick Sirianni focuses on the big picture of the football team. Nick Sirianni is the CEO of the football team. Jason Kelsey from the New Heights podcast.
Nick, and I really mean this, is one of the best coaches I've been around, and talking about coaching situational ball, really understanding what to do in the right moment, motivating guys. We coach things up in team meetings and hold people accountable better than pretty much any other coach I've been around.
Jason Kelsey has been around Brian Kelly in college, Andy Reid at the Eagles, Chip Kelly with the Eagles, Doug Peterson with the Eagles, and now Nick Sirianni. And he says Nick Sirianni might be the best that he's been around at handling the parts of the job that nobody talks about. Yeah, he doesn't call the plays, but the way he manages the team, manages crunch time, handles the environment, the culture, whatever you want to call it, all the intangibles that we can't actually measure. There might be something to this. Just stop asking people to do a million things. We live in a society where we are asking so much of the world around us. We ask everyone to do so many jobs and so many tasks because there are people higher up the ladder who are too cheap to take a pay cut themselves. So they burden the people under them to go above and beyond every single day. It happens everywhere in life today. Ever since the end of the pandemic, with the people working from home and people trying to see how much they can get away with not spending business-wise, there are so many businesses that are cutting corners, that are putting their employees in a position where they question whether they want to have that job anymore. And the NFL is getting smart and saying, maybe it's not a good idea if you want to win a championship to run it with a dictatorship like Bill Belichick did in New England. Maybe it's better to let people just do their jobs. I hire an offensive coordinator to call the plays. The defensive coordinator calls the plays. The head coach is the man overseeing the whole operation. He is the captain of the ship, but he is not the navigator. He is the captain of the ship, but he is not the dinner cook. He is the captain of the ship, but he is not the guy who drops the anchor. Can he do all those other jobs if absolutely necessary? Yes, he can. But you're asking the captain of the ship to be the man in charge of all operations and not be too focused on one or the other. That's why Dan Quinn is head coach now in Washington. That is why Nick Sirianni is the head coach still in Philadelphia. That is the reason why Mike McDonald got hired in Seattle. And that is the reason why Bill Belichick is out of a job right now. We'll check in on text board on the other side. 609-403-0973. That's text board. Also your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app. Download it for free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.3 ESPN with Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Smallman.
Do you consider Rocky sports movies?
Is Rocky a
As
sports
someone who
movie? It
regularly
feels like more of a
watches-
drama. Listen, I have this weird, convoluted system in which I judge whether or not it's a sports movie. The Rocky and Creed thing just seems so far-fetched. It's not close to the realm of reality.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first. Voted best of the best in Jersey Shores. For roofing and siding, windows and doors. 24-month financing, no payments, no interest. You're certified GAF elite contractors. Champion-exteriors.com. Champion Exteriors, Champion, the one you call first.
We all make resolutions this time of year, and let's face it, most of them won't stick. But here's one that's not only easy to keep, but will help you feel healthier all year long. Navage. Navage provides quick, drug-free nasal relief by washing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. This time of year, when everyone is sick, Navage helps by sucking out germs, bacteria, and viruses trapped in our noses that cause us to feel miserable. And come allergy season, it does the same with dust, pollen, and other allergens. And unlike medications that can take time to help, if they're effective at all, Navage helps treat congestion symptoms in seconds flat, without drugs. This New Year's, resolve to use drug-free Navage to help you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier all year long. Ask for Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or find us online at Navage.com. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Okay, everyone gather around. I have some exciting.
Running her shoe factory, Kendra talks the talk and walks the walk.
We're switching to green energy.
She needs a biotech consultant to erase her carbon footprint.
All operations will net zero emissions.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate, or hiring someone to move your piano instead of doing it yourself. So, do things the better way. Bundle home and auto and save up to 25% with Allstate.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com.
Champion Exteriors. Champion, the one you call first. Voted best of the best in Jersey Shores. For roofing and siding, windows and doors. 24-month financing, no payments, no interest. Your certified GAF elite contractors. Champion Dutch Exteriors.com. Champion Exteriors. Champion, the one you call first.
Airlines have just reduced their prices even more. Book 30 days in advance and save big.
Want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets? Then call the Low Cost Airlines Travel Hotline right now. For prices so low, we can't publish them anywhere. The only way to access our low rates and save up to 70% is to call. Save hundreds on your vacation tickets by calling right now. You can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
802-341-4541. 802-341-4541. 802-341-4541. That's 802-341-4541.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it.
And now get a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. Find us at straighttalk.com. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only, excludes taxes and fees.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
I was tired of feeling so bloated, so I tried Align Bloating Relief Plus Food Digestion. It's a daily probiotic that works naturally with your gut to help relieve occasional bloating and contains vitamin B12 to promote the breakdown of food into cellular energy. Align has been the #1 doctor-recommended probiotic brand for 10 years in a row.
Join the Align Probiotic Healthy Gut Team Up and get $5 off your first month of Align. Go to AlignProbiotics.com to join the Healthy Gut Team Up today.
Stop the countdown. Don't let the new year pass you by without upgrading your ride. So bring any trade, no matter the make, mileage, or condition. We'll take it, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth, and put you into a new matte black Kia with low, 0 down payments, 0.9% financing, and 0 down payments until April. Only matte black Kia has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. We know bad things happen to good people. We want to approve you. We finance your future, not your past. Even if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, we want to get you released and into your new matte black Kia with 0 down, 0 payments until April on every new Kia in stock.
It's gotta be a matte black Kia.
With approved credit, not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can be combined. Go to matteblackkia.com for complete details. 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF at $21.22 per thousand for 48 months. Rebates and incentives to dealer expires 2/2/24. Matte Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Get your text in just a moment at 609-403-0973. By the way, I could not laugh at Cole from LBI who texted in earlier saying they got to stop mentioning Adam Gase. If you didn't listen to the Sports Bash in the last hour, we were talking about coaches, like what happened to some of these guys, right? Like there was the time that like Adam Gase was the hottest coach in football, you know, the former offense coordinator with the Broncos with Peyton Manning. And then he would later become the Dolphins head coach. And then he became the head coach of the Jets. And Cole from LBI, for those who don't know, is a Jets fan. So he says he has some football PTSD from all those years watching Adam Gase as their head coach. And Mike Gill and I were talking about like whatever happened to Adam Gase. Well, I did a little research and I found out. And if this isn't nepotism, or at least the idea for like a TV show or a comedy movie. So apparently Adam Gase, he is the son-in-law of Joe Vitt. Joe Vitt, so Joe Vitt was the guy who was the interim Saints head coach when Sean Payton got suspended a decade ago. And now he's working on Sean Payton's staff again in Denver. Well, apparently Joe Vitt is the father-in-law of Adam Gase. Adam Gase married Joe Vitt's daughter. So apparently Adam Gase has been hanging around the Denver Broncos this past year. And the whole idea made me laugh because, as I said, I mean, how do you have that conversation with Sean Payton? Hey, Sean, you mind if I bring my son-in-law to work? And Sean Payton's going to be like, what? He's like, well, my son-in-law is Adam Gase. And like, he explains the whole thing, probably. And, Sean Payton probably says, well, he can hang around, doesn't get involved. Like, just, he can visit the house, don't touch anything kind of feeling to this whole thing. And it's just so bizarre to me. Like, Adam Gase is Joe Vitt's son-in-law, and that's why he's hanging around the Broncos facility. And like, can you imagine like how those conversations go? Adam Gase, like, can I sit on this meeting? No. You were such a failure at your last job. We don't want you anywhere around here. Adam Gase is the perfect example of you can be a very good or an accomplished coordinator, but it doesn't mean you can be a great head coach. It's a huge part of the reason why when I look at people such as Dave Canales, who just got hired to be the Carolina Panthers head coach, or Brian Callahan, who got hired to be the Tennessee Titans head coach. Just because you were in the proximity of success does not mean that you are the person responsible for that success. Think about who some of these coaches are, right? Dave Canales, who, for those who don't know, he's actually been coaching for a long time now, all right? He worked in the Seahawks organization for over a decade. He worked his way up from the wide receiver coach to the quarterback coach, and then he got the offense coordinator job this past year in Tampa. And the one season in Tampa, 1 year, he gets a head coaching job with the Panthers. So he was a part of a coaching staff in Seattle that had a lot of success. Pete Carroll, Super Bowl champion, losing another championship in the Super Bowl, horrible play call. Russell Wilson, all those years. Then Baker Mayfield has his resurrection of his career, and Canales is the OC, and now all of a sudden, he deserves a head coaching job? Why? Like, how good are some of these interviews that you're sitting there being like, that's the guy? Like, what did Canales say to Dave Tepper to be like, let me tell you guys, I want this guy. This is my guy. Like, how does that conversation go? And then Brian Callahan, son of Bill Callahan, that's why you recognize the last name. Brian Callahan has coached in the NFL for over a decade as well. He started in the Broncos organization, and he worked his way up from a quality control coach to eventually getting hired as the quarterback's coach for the Lions. Then he gets the Bengals OC job where he's worked with Zach Taylor for the last few years. So because Brian Callahan has been in the proximity of Peyton Manning, Matthew Stafford, and Joe Burrow, that qualifies him to get a head coaching interview. And whatever he said to Ray Carthon down in Tennessee impressed him enough to be like, that's my guy. So all the times people ask questions of, man, how did Adam Gase ever get a job? Man, how did Ben McAdoo ever get a job? Man, fill in the blank. How did this coach get a job? I'm telling you how they get the job, because you're seeing it play out right in front of us. These NFL teams think that just because Adam Gase was in the proximity of greatness that earns him something. And I laugh because it's just another example for why when people were saying, you got to fire Nick Sirianni stinks, Nick Sirianni's the worst, right? And I laugh because the only people who wanted to get rid of Nick Sirianni were the people who were not in the Eagles building. Everybody thinks the grass is greener on the other side, and everybody will rationalize any reason why they should turn around and do whatever, right? If you don't like Nick Sirianni, then you're going to go find an analyst, a former player, somebody who hates Nick Sirianni. And if you like Nick Sirianni, you're going to go find a former player, a coach, somebody who supports your opinion. And even though all the players, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, they all say Nick Sirianni is our guy. There's somebody who is convinced he isn't. For as much as people love Jason Kelsey, when Jason Kelsey said this, I haven't heard a single Nick Sirianni hater, denier refute this. When Jason Kelsey explained why Nick Sirianni will do whatever it takes to win, even Dave Weinberg yesterday, who has been a staunch, not fan of Nick Sirianni. He believed in what Doug Peterson was doing in that building. Even he looked at it and said, that's a good point.
Nick moving to like a head coaching position, he removed himself from play calling duties with Shane Steichen, right? That ended up working out pretty damn good. Nick has shown in his tenure with the Eagles that he's going to do whatever he thinks is in the best interest of the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's going to make those decisions, and he doesn't care about how other people perceive it. He doesn't care about anything other than what's in the best interest of the team. And to me, I think players respect the hell out of coaches that operate on that level.
Players respect coaches because of that. It doesn't matter if we like Nick Sirianni's personality or how we feel about how Nick Sirianni acts on the sidelines. It doesn't matter if we like the way he talks at press conferences. If the players are bought into the guy, why are we so quick to kick the guy out the door? If you have somebody who people want to work for, why would you ever consider getting rid of that person? You all listening on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free thanks to First Bank of Seattle. And I thank you wherever you're listening. Whatever your job is, and I meet any of you out and about, okay? I see you at the store. I see you at the local, brewery or, the restaurant or the gym or the boardwalk or wherever you may run into me, right? Whatever your job is, I guarantee you. Hey, Josh, I listen to the radio. Hey, it's great to meet you, man. And you turn to me and you say, man, I really wish that the people at my job, whatever your job is, didn't fire, fill in the blank. And I'll say, why? And you say, because I liked working with that individual, that man, that woman, that manager, that coworker, whatever the variables are. When you like working for and with someone, it's easy for this to come out of your mouth.
Players love them. They'll play hard for them. I know it was a really shitty year for us, but, I think that Nick has a lot to bring as value as the head coach and the organizational leadership that he provides for the team.
You don't say that flippantly. Jason Kelsey is not being paid by the Eagles to speak favorably of Nick Sirianni. He's speaking his mind. It's something that came naturally to him. In the NFL today, we are hiring head coaches to run organizations, to be the CEO of the football team. Yes, some of these guys are play callers, and some of them are good play callers. Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, exceptional play callers. Mike McCarthy, Doug Peterson, good play callers. But it's not Nick Sirianni's strength. And that's okay. All right, we'll get into the Sixers coming up next. I see Jeff from Ocean City chiming in at 609-403-0973. Sixers back on the road tonight in Utah. We got an NBA doubleheader tonight on 97.3 ESPN. Sixers at Utah tonight, 10 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. Even though LeBron and Anthony Davis not playing for the Lakers, that game's coming up next as well here on 97.3 ESPN. Top of the hour here. But I do have some thoughts on the Sixers because this Joel Embiid thing is starting to get a little out of control. We literally have people who think that Joel Embiid should shut it down for the rest of the year. Josh Hennick here on Game Night, 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Download for free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Rebound follow, B-ball Paul, two-hand stuff. He has 25, and the crowd gasping. Who is this guy?
It's Sixers Jazz tonight. Coverage begins at 10 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
Did you miss year-end pricing? Not if you get to Matt Blatt Nissan. Year-end savings are extended. That means you can buy a brand new Nissan with $299 down and just $299 per month. That's less than a week of groceries.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Brand new 2024 Nissan Versa S for under 20 grand. And you can own it for just $299 per month. This is not a lease, program, or used car. Plus, AJ the Trade Man wants to buy your vehicle today. So you can drive your new Nissan, even with 0 down and 0% financing on every new Rogue or Frontier in stock, but only at MattBlattNissan.com. Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. $27.78 per thousand finance. 2023 Nissan Rogues and Frontiers. Not all will qualify. Go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details or call 844-917-4758. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. VIN RL 835598. Versa S MSRP 19465. 75 months at 5.64%. Expires 2/4/24. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more straight talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with data and no contract. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it.
And now get a Samsung Galaxy A14 included when you buy an extended Silver Unlimited plan. Find us at straighttalk.com. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com. Device offer ends 4/14/24. Online only. Excludes taxes and fees.
It seems like everywhere you look right now, someone is sick. This year, prepare your family for airborne invaders like bacteria, pollen, and yes, germs with Navage Nasal Care. Navage flushes ultra-pure, refreshing saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out of the other nostril. Navage sucks out viruses, dust, and other airborne particles, all the stuff that gets trapped in your nose, making you miserable. Don't get caught empty-handed this winter. Get Navage, the drug-free solution that helps you breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier. Even better, Navage is HSA, FSA eligible. So Navage is a great way to spend those funds before they expire. Don't wait a minute longer. Buy Navage today and you'll breathe easier knowing you're putting your funds to good use. Navage is available online at Navage.com or Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, and Rite Aid. Navage, Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, it's number 59, Seth joining. Join me on the BetParks Sportsbook app, and you're in the zone. BetParks is the official casino and sportsbook app of the real Philly fan, and the only app I recommend. Bet more than the score. Bet player performances like total passing and rushing yards. Bet total team touchdown. Bet who scores a touchdown. And nobody does live in-game betting better than BetParks. Bet on the action as it happens. Join me right now and download the BetParks Casino and Sportsbook app. New customers make a winning $10 bet and get $125 in bonus sportsbook bets back. Must be a winning bet, and bonus bets must be wagered once. The BetParks Sportsbook is the only sports betting app that I recommend. Live betting, parlays, props, teasers, they have it all. Like me, I'm sure that you love to play, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
Must be 21 in NPA, New Jersey, Ohio, Maryland, Delaware, 100 down.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not one based on the driver who treats the highway like a racetrack and the shoulder like a passing lane. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive. Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza. I sure hope he brought the Pepto. Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie. The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card good for use at Provenza Restaurant and Event Center in Ventnor for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seize the deal.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
By the way, we have a trade in the NBA. It does not involve the 76ers, but it's still interesting to have a little quick let you guys know. Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Grizzlies are trading Steven Adams to the Houston Rockets for Victor Oladipo and 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 second-round picks. According to Woj, the Grizzlies are creating more salary flexibility and draft assets for the 2024 offseason so they can build around John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane. So the Grizzlies are officially in rebuild for the offseason mode. They are unloading Steven Adams. Meanwhile, the Sixers haven't done anything. Look, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I feel like I can't not be that guy. I'm just not a fan of this let's just wait and see attitude that this organization has been taking. I'm a man of action. If something needs to be fixed, let's fix it. Let's get it done. Let's not sit on our hands and not do anything. But maybe there's a reason why they're sitting on their hands. Kendrick Perkins thinks this about Joel Embiid and his knee.
If I'm the 76ers, I'll shut Joel Embiid down for this season.
You mean the rest of the regular season?
The rest of the year.
Really?
Because for the simple fact, like, this is going to continue to get worse. Like, he's not going to come back and be, like, pain-free, right? We saw last year what happened in the postseason.
Think about that for a minute. I'm not saying I agree with Perk, but I understand where he's coming from. I understand that when you're talking about a guy like Embiid, when you have a player of that stature and that skill, you're not going to win without him. He said, look at the postseason last year. This was a team that needed James Harden to basically go off for them to have a chance in that series. And even when Embiid came back, he was never the same. They couldn't get the job done. You are not winning a championship as currently constructed without Embiid. So while I understand where he's coming from, I don't agree with 100%. Because to me, to Jeff in Ocean City, I look at it as if you have a chance to win this year, we know Doc Rivers can never, ever get out of the second round, it seems like. So that should help you against Milwaukee. If you can just improve this team enough to make you a step up to Boston's level, you got a chance. So for me, if I'm the Philadelphia 76ers, I take those assets, I trade them, I get something of value, and I don't just tell Embiid to take off the rest of the year. I tell Embiid to take off till he's 100% better. Listen, as long as Embiid doesn't have a season-ending injury, I don't care about anything except for getting him healthy in time to get some games under his belt, to get his cardio back up for the postseason. He should have never been in the game in the second half on Tuesday. That game was cooked. I look at the Sixers as a team that is doing not enough to be ready for the postseason. That's me. That's how I look at it. I am the kind of person who thinks if you have opportunity to win a championship, you got to do what it takes to do that. I'm not saying you should sacrifice all of your assets for that. I'm just saying that sitting Embiid for the rest of the year doesn't solve any problems. Now, will the Sixers win tonight? Probably not. Look, if they can get Maxey on the court tonight and Tobias Harris gives you more than he gave you Tuesday, you can maybe win it. But Utah is a weird team. It's in Utah. If the game was in Philadelphia, I feel a lot differently. But it's 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be late in Utah, even later out here. Remember, they're 2 hours behind us. That's an 8 o'clock tip-off for Utah. Sixers tonight, 10 o'clock on 97.3 ESPN. Have a great night, everybody.
Listen to Greeny with Mike Greenberg on 97.3 ESPN.
Hembo, how long have I known you?
10 years.
We have written a book together. We are writing 2 more together. I spend as much time with you as I do practically any human being on planet Earth besides my wife. And I found out today I spell his name wrong. His name is Hembakitis, and I thought it was Hembikitis. I have an I where an E should be. So I think you have to go change the spelling.
Greeny, weekday mornings from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.